at Hill City NG on Facebook. I am Shegoke on YouTube. Just search for my channel on YouTube and join me. JD Bespoke, I see you. You're welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. All right. Let's get down to business. I like to kick it off, all right, as early as possible. I want to make this very snappy this evening. Welcome everybody. Welcome from Yabino. I see you. You're welcome. Folks on Facebook, you're welcome. People on YouTube, you're welcome. Thank you everybody for being here. People on MixLR, I see you. You are welcome. Our topic for today is what I call the 8 commandments. The 8 commandments. For those who have been following me, especially the Sunday morning teachings, I've been talking about authentic relationships, all right, for the last 2 weeks. And so what I'm going to be sharing with us this Wednesday and next Wednesday is an offshoot of that teaching series, all right, authentic relationships. But I just want to zero in on these 8 principles that I want to share with us. If you have been following closely, some of the big ideas that we have been sharing are some of the things I would start with this evening. These are just the foundational statements, and I'm just going to remind us of them, and then we will kick off into what we have for this evening. And this is the first one. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. If you forget everything, please don't forget this one. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. Okay, so if you are not happy with you, if you are not happy with the quality of your living, perhaps you want to tweak your relationships. Just before you run ahead, please remember also that you are the most valuable contributor to the quality of your relationships. In other words, who you are is who you attract. So if you don't like the quality of people you are doing life with, you need to work on yourself, because who you are is who you attract. Or let me say it in another way, who you are is who you can keep in your life. Okay, so you want to make sure that you become the kind of person that the people you want to do life with want to do life with, and then you begin to attract those kinds of people. Another big idea that we have shared before now is that authentic relationships are like trees. They are cultivated intentionally. Authentic relationships are like trees. They are cultivated intentionally. So if you want valuable relationships, productive relationships in your life, you have to be intentional about them. Of course, the opposite of authentic relationships is synthetic relationships. Those ones are like weeds. You don't need help. They don't need help for growing. They drain you, they derail you, and yet they don't need your help to spring up in your life. There are people who are taking from you, people who are draining you, people who are not helping you to make progress in life. And if you think about it critically, you don't have to always do so much to even bring them into your life. But those qualitative relationships, they require what? Nurturing. They require cultivating. So you've got to realize that authentic relationships are like trees, okay? They are cultivated intentionally. Something else I've shared with us that I also want you to remember, it's a big idea, is that the only variable in your relationships that you can truly control is you. The only variable in your relationships that you can truly control is you. You influence others, but you can only control yourself. In other words, sometimes you want people to treat you in a certain way, but there's nothing you can do to make them treat you in a certain way. However, the kind of person you are is the kind of people you will attract. So instead of trying to control the people you already have, you become the kind of person that the people you desire want in their lives, and you begin to attract those kind of people into your life. So when you want your relationships to get better, focus on yourself. When you want things to improve in your connections with other people, focus on yourself. So you see, very early on, I discovered that relationships are very important. And as I evolved, as I brokered relationships, I discovered certain principles. Of course, you know I'm a person of faith. So from scriptures, from the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, from observing my mentors and role models, I came up with, they used to be 10, I've condensed them now to 8. See, to these time-tested principles that I recommend for people who want to conduct, or better still, nurture authentic relationships. And I follow these principles myself. As a matter of fact, before I started teaching them, I practiced them in my life for a couple of years. I mean, I was not thinking of teaching these principles to people. I learned them, I was practicing them, and one day I sat down and I decided to document, these laws that govern relationships that I have discovered. Okay, so 8 of them, is what I put together in this teaching series. I'm going to cover 4, today, and then next Wednesday, I'm going to look at another 4. Now, this is the first one. I call them the 8 commandments, and the first one is balance giving with receiving. Balance giving with receiving. Why? Healthy relationships are symbiotic in nature. Balance giving with receiving, because healthy relationships are symbiotic in nature. In other words, always ask yourself, what am I here to give? And what is in this for me? In every relationship, ask yourself, regardless of whether it's on the job, whether it's with a mentor, a role model, whether it's with a friend or a colleague, always ask yourself, what am I here to give? And what is in this for me? Why do I say that? An imbalance in this regard, will lead to resentment, especially in an emotional relationship. The moment there is an imbalance in giving and in receiving, resentment will set in. In other words, if you are the kind of person that is giving in your relationship, you keep giving, and then you get to that point and it dawns on you, I'm the only one doing the giving. This other person is not reciprocating. After some time, you get tired of giving, you get overwhelmed, you become resentful if something is not done about it. Now, a lot of times, some people assume, the other person should know that I expect you to give back to me, or I expect you to treat me or deal with me in a certain way. But sometimes, if you are not being treated the way you desire, ask. This is important. If you are not being treated the way you desire, especially those of us in amorous or emotional relationships, if your partner is not treating you the way you want to be treated, don't assume the person ought to know. Don't assume don't code it. Some people you use body language. No, call the person, sit the person down and converse with the person. You know what, this is how I want you to treat me. This is how I want you to talk to me. This is what I expect you to do. Let me give an example. Most men that I know don't just want to do good things for their spouses. They love to see the reaction, or the response of their spouses, especially when they go out of their way or they make a sacrifice. So if you're a man and you're making sacrifices for your family, and your spouse is not responding the way you want him or her to respond, don't just get angry. No. Call the person into a meeting, sit the person down and tell the person, you know what? Every time I do this, this is what I expect from you, but this is what I've been getting. I will really, really love it if you will respond this way. For example, as a lady, you go to the salon, you make your hair, and you notice your spouse would not notice. Instead of just getting angry, tell him, you know what? Every time I go to the salon to make my hair, I do it for you. I look beautiful because of you. I would really appreciate it if you would notice and say something. He may respond, I noticed. I didn't know you expected me to say. No, say something. Most of us guys are like that guy. The wife told him, honey, I don't think you love me anymore. The guy said, on our wedding day, before the whole world, I told you that I love you. When I change my mind, I will let you know. Guys must understand women are different from men. Even though they know, they need to hear you say it over and over again that you love them. Now, it's the same thing if you have a friend who is not fond of saying thank you anytime you do something for them. If it means something to you that people appreciate it, when you do something for them, don't just assume they will get it. No, tell the person, you know what, I really would appreciate it every time I do something for you, say thank you. Or let me give another example. If you have a friend or perhaps a colleague who is fond of coming late for appointments, don't just assume this guy ought to know he should be punctual. If he's going to be late, he should send a message or let me know that he's running late. Let the person know. Balance giving with receiving. But what does that also mean? After you have asked, If the person is not forthcoming, that is a sign that perhaps the two of you are not suitable for the kind of relationship you ought to have. Let me give an example. If you have a business partner or somebody you're doing business with, or even sometimes a client, or even sometimes a service provider. I give a personal example. There's a particular young man, for example, who does some stuff for me. And in the last few weeks, he has been disappointed. He has an excuse, but he's been disappointed. And this afternoon, I said to myself, I'm going to have a conversation with this young man, and I'm going to let him know, see, this is not how I want our relationship to, proceed. I am not sure that this can work. I'm not sure you can continue to serve me. If he changes, maybe after another 1 or 2 months, fine. If he does not change, I'm just going to let him be and look for another service provider. In other words, you are not stuck with anybody. Instead of getting angry and getting upset, move on. Okay? Move on. Not everybody is suitable, okay, for the kind of life that you want to live. It does not mean that they are bad people. It simply means that they are not fit to be in a relationship with you. Instead of getting angry, instead of fighting with people, I've met a few people like that who feel like, look, fighting each other and making up is normal. In my world, maybe this is now personal opinion for me. See, I'm a man of peace. I really don't like striving. So the moment I notice I am butting heads with somebody, I look for a way out. Of course, all of that I've said now does not affect a marital situation, because that is stronger, that's deeper. Covenant is involved, okay? Being displeased is not legal grounds for a divorce. So it's not just because, oh, my spouse, no. You were supposed to make sure of that before you got married, okay? But for other relationships, business relationships, and all of these other things, you want to make sure that if people are not your type of persons, okay, time will not permit me, but in the last 2 weeks, I taught them in our church how that there are 3 major qualities you must look out for before you know that, look, this relationship is for me. I'm talking about every kind of relationship, mentoring relationship, business relationship, and all of those other relationships. Number 1 is vision. Number 2 is values. And then number 3 is vulnerability. Anybody who does not share your vision, anybody who does not share your values, you should not be vulnerable with. Okay, that's all I can say about that because of time. If you're interested in that teaching, you may want to get it on our digital store. Probably I'll talk about that before I round up, but I need to run because of time. Okay, if you don't balance your giving with your receiving, you will get tired, you will get overwhelmed, you will get resentful. But I need to sound a little bit of note of warning here. I said balance giving with receiving, but you need to understand that there are occasions where you give to people who are not in a position to reciprocate. This is what you must realize. That when you give to people, or when you do things for people who are currently not in a position to reciprocate, okay, God steps in and repays you at his level. Now, this is important. We must always keep doing things for people who cannot reciprocate. Every time we do it, you need to realize you are still in a giving and receiving relationship, but now it is God who is going to step in. So you are not at a loss. Okay? You are not at a loss. Anytime you have to do for somebody who cannot repay you, be mindful this transaction is not between me and this person. This transaction is between me and God. Permit me to share a verse of scripture at this point. Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 17. It says, if you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and he will repay you. All right, this is important. So you notice this verse of scripture is not applicable to marriage. It is not applicable to an employment situation. It's not applicable to business. Okay, this one is applicable to when you are doing for somebody who is not in a position to reciprocate. That is not a marriage situation. That is not an employment situation. That is not a business situation. So I've discussed about that. But I'm talking about balancing giving with receiving. You must make sure that if you are giving, you are receiving according to your expectation. If not, talk about it, discuss with the person. If not, resentment will develop in that relationship. I'm talking about the 8 commandments of nurturing authentic relationships. This is the second one. Never demand from a relationship what it was not designed to give you. Never demand from a relationship what it was not designed to give you. Why do I say that? Healthy relationships respect boundaries. Okay? Healthy relationships respect boundaries. And I'm going to give us some examples this evening. Don't demand emotional support from your boss, from your colleague, from your client. That's not the purpose of that relationship. So when we talk about boundaries, we are saying for every connection, there is a purpose. Make sure that you maintain that connection for the purpose for which it was established in the first place. So if it's an employment situation, that is not where you go to discuss your emotional issues. That's not where, if it's possible, don't borrow money from a colleague at work. Don't ask your boss for a raise in terms of, I'm broke, I need money. Don't discuss that with your boss. Why? All of those discussions have a way of coloring the impression that person will have of you. I've seen situations where somebody has exposed their domestic situation to a colleague at work. Now, that colleague happens to now be in a meeting where that person's career is being discussed, a promotion is being discussed, or an opportunity is being discussed. And sometimes people like you and they spare you. So you hear things like, oh, I'm not sure Buki is suitable for that role. And they will say, why? Because the kind of issues she's dealing with emotionally, I don't think she's in a space to handle that promotion. I don't think she can handle that responsibility. And you see, that's what happens when you demand from a relationship what it's not supposed to give you. Let me give another example. Don't burden your children with emotional or financial issues. Okay, let's take the scenario where, a man is married and is having issues with his wife. That's not an opportunity for you to be discussing your emotional issue with your children, okay, or with your colleagues at work, or with your siblings for that matter. Okay, married people must always understand, if you want your marriage to survive, to succeed, to thrive, you don't report your spouse to your nuclear family, to your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father. No, you report your spouse to his mentor or her mentor, to your pastor. Okay, if you attend church together, yes, that's the purpose. You see, that is the reason for people who are not connected to you by blood. You see, the purpose of family is unconditional love. So no matter what you do wrong, your immediate family would likely not look you in the face and take the side of your spouse against you. Don't make that mistake. As a matter of fact, I advocate that, look, a husband and wife should be mature enough to sit down and with proper communication resolve issues. A lot of times what we do is ask third parties to come and pressure the other party to do what we want, okay, them to do for us, or for them to do in the marriage. And that's not influence, that's manipulation. You are not supposed to be doing that. Okay, so even if it's a case of I'm saying it but she's not getting it, or he's not getting it, then you discuss with your mentors, you discuss with your pastors, not with family. Don't demand from a relationship what it was not designed to give you. This third illustration, or this third example I want to give, applies to all of us. Don't expect from a man what only God can do for you. You have to know when to pray, and you have to know when to ask for the counsel of men or for the help of men. I notice a lot of times people rush to ask from men, okay, questions that they have not presented to God. You need to understand that it is the God in you that brings out the good in you, okay? You need God more than you need anybody, okay? And when you run after people and they are not responding to you the way you want them to respond to you, a lot of times you feel abandoned, you feel left alone. This is what I found out. When you feel abandoned by people, look very closely. You have drifted away from your fellowship with God. Every time you feel abandoned by men, it is because you have drifted from God. But when you make God your priority, He is the one that will orchestrate the men who will help you. Now, I'm not saying you don't need the help of men, but it is better when you seek God and He sends men than when you are the one who is running after men. But why do we run after man? Because sometimes we ask from people what we ought to ask from God. So there's a principle I share with people, and it is this. If you have not discussed it with God, you have no business discussing it with men. Okay? If you have not discussed it with God, you have no business discussing it with men. That's the first variant of that principle. This is the flip side of that variable. When you have heard from God, you don't have any business, okay, consulting with men. Now, the only basis upon which you consult with men now is advice in the direction where you already know that's where God wants you to go. Let me give an example of what I'm saying. Say somebody listening to me right now is contemplating, should I relocate or should I not relocate? As a matter of fact, you don't ask people that. When you ask the average person, they will tell you, oh, you have the money. Oh, there's, man, I'm grown away. Everything is tough here. But there are some people that ought to be here. When you have heard from God, and for example, say you get a go ahead from God, yes, I have an opportunity for you in this other country, okay, you are free, go ahead and relocate. When you have heard that from God, you don't go back to men to ask, should I relocate? No. The only thing you can ask from men now is about relocating, because you already know the mind of God concerning the direction that you should go. So let me say those two principles again. You don't have any business discussing with men what you have not discussed with God. The moment you know the mind of God on a situation, you have no business asking men concerning it. You see, because a lot of times people would only advise you based on their experience, based on their knowledge, based on where they have been, based on their perspective. And sometimes people don't see what you are seeing. They've not heard what you have heard. They are not going where you are going. So they can't counsel you right. Okay? They have not heard what you have heard. They are not seeing what you are seeing. They are not going where you are going. The farthest anybody can take you to is where they have been themselves. So if they've not been where you are going, they can't counsel you on how to get there. You need God more than you need men. That's the second principle. Okay? Don't demand from a relationship. Never demand from a relationship what it was not designed to give you. There is a role for men in your life. There is a role for God. Okay, there is a role for a spouse in your life. There is the role of God. There is the role for friends. That's another issue. Don't pressure your wife, okay, with issues you should discuss with your friends. All right. Sometimes some spouses want to be in the life of their spouse all the time. So we love each other so much. I just want to be with you all the time. I've seen it more with ladies than with men. I know there are men who are like that. But ladies must understand that no matter how important you are to your husband, he still needs his male friends. That's the truth. He still needs his male friends. The same thing for men. No matter how important you are to your wife, she still needs a female friend. And I'll say this to all of us. Your spouse is not enough a connection for you to do life. So you don't want to overwhelm that person with what you should share with friends and with loved ones. You need more than one person to do life with. Let's move on because of time to principle number 3. Principle number 3. Don't place your need before your gift. Don't place your need before your gift. This is a fundamental principle of scripture. Giving precedes receiving. This is important. You see, when I learned these principles and I started to practice them, like I said before now, it was not for the purpose of teaching or sharing with people. These were things I discovered as I was trying to, grow and, align my life properly. Okay. No matter what your need is, never place your need before your gift. Giving always precedes receiving. The quality of what you receive in life is always in response to the quality of what you have given. So if you want to have abundance, you want to focus on what is flowing out of you, much more than your expectation of what should flow to you. Permit me to share with us a number of scriptures. Acts of Apostles chapter 20 and verse 35. Paul the apostle said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. The word blessed means to be empowered to prosper. In other words, giving empowers you to prosper more than receiving. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps whatever he sows. So I don't need to focus on my harvest. I just need to focus on my sowing. The more I give, the more I am going to receive. Luke chapter 6 and verse 38 says, give and it shall be given unto you. It's the law of cause and effect. The moment something is flowing from you, things are going to flow, okay, back to you. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 6, it says, he that sows sparingly shall reap sparingly. He that sows bountifully shall reap bountifully. In other words, the quality of what is flowing to me is determined by the quality of what is flowing from me. So never place your need before your gift. In other words, when you go, for example, on a job interview, be fixated more on the problem you are there to solve, not how much they are going to pay you. When you meet people, and I see people make the mistake all the time. A young man who is looking for a wife to marry, you don't meet people and you are just fixated. Is she my wife? Or can I marry her? No, you don't do that. A lot of times people don't get it. You see, ladies don't marry husbands. They are not looking for husbands. Okay, a husband is a burden. A husband is responsibility. Husband means there's somebody to cook for, and somebody's children to take care of. I will carry pregnancy. I will deliver. No, women don't think like that. A woman is looking for a friend. And friends don't make demands. Okay, I think it was Henry Ford who said, my friend is the person that brings out the best in me. So be a friend. Be there for her. Be her friend. Support her cause. Be interested in what she's interested in, and then it will dawn on her somehow that the best way to keep this person in my life is to take this to another level. Okay, that's the way it works. It's the same thing. As an employer, you want the very best of employees. Take the vision or the objective of your organization, make it secondary, make their life, their growth, okay, their involvement in life, their fulfillment in life, make that your priority as an employer, and you will get the best from your employees. All right, somebody said it this way. He said, we build the people turn around, and then they build the business. That's the way it works. You place your gift ahead of your need. This is important. I'm reminded of the story of the widow of Zarephath. And you know, when you look at that story, strictly from a human standpoint, you will feel like the prophet Elijah was very callous. Okay, this woman was packing sticks, and the prophet Elijah approached her, and he said to the woman, give me water to drink. And the woman said, okay. While she was going to get the water, and then the man said, oh, you bake me some cake or something like that for me to eat. And the woman said, wait. You see, all I have is a little small flour and a little oil. I'm just about to make something for my son and myself to eat. And after that, we don't have any other thing to eat. The human thing to say is, oh, okay, it's okay, go ahead. Or maybe whatever I have, I can even give to you. It's obvious you don't have. But Elijah said, yeah, go and do what you have said. But first, bring me something to eat. And then he said, because thus saith the Lord. Now, this is what it means. Anytime we want to engage God, okay, we will have to proceed with a seed. And I'm not being religious here. It's a fundamental principle of life. When you want to provoke a harvest, you do it with a seed. Okay, when you want people to treat you in a certain way, you treat people that certain way. In other words, if you want so many people to give you birthday gifts on your birthday, you make a habit of take about 1 or 2 years and say, you know what, every friend in my life, I'm going to buy them a birthday gift. Give them 1 more year. You will notice it will become a tradition that on your birthday, all your friends will give you gifts, because that's the way life functions. So Elijah said to her, you give me something first and see if the power of God that's upon my life will not break out in your favor. Another example is the Shunammite woman. I like that so much. You see, this woman was childless, but then she saw the prophet, and all she did was take care of the prophet. And she was just focused on her gift, to the point where Prophet Elisha said to her, what can I do for you? She said nothing. In other words, I'm not doing this because of what I'm going to get. I'm doing this because this is the right thing for me to do. It took the servant of the prophet Gehazi to tell the prophet, she does not have a child. In other words, she was not like, oh, let me do something nice so that as a prophet he will do something nice to me. I see people do that a lot. You can't be transactional and build authentic relationships. No, you can't be. Let me say that again. You can't be transactional and build authentic relationships. As long as you are thinking about yourself, you will make wrong decisions. As long as you are thinking about yourself, you will not make the best of choices. Place the needs of other people ahead of you, okay? And focus on it. It was Zig Ziglar who said that if you help enough people get what they want in life, you will get whatever it is that you want in life. This is what I found out. Everybody has a need, okay? Everybody has a need. Those that excel are the ones who are willing to make a priority of solving other people's problems. Let me say that to you again. Everybody has a need. Those that excel in life are those who are willing to make a priority of other people's problems, okay? When you help enough other people solve their own problems, everything you desire will come to you. Of course, if you know that Bible story, the Shunammite woman eventually got a miracle, okay, of a son. A few years later, the son died. She got the miracle of a resurrection. The boy was brought back to life. See, all of that happened, okay, in response to what? The seed she sowed. She gave a room to the prophet. She made the prophet comfortable. She was not even expecting anything in return. Remember the statement I made before now. Anytime you do something for people who are not in a position to reciprocate, God steps in and then he rewards you at his own level. I'm going to round up this session this evening with the fourth principle. We're talking about the 8 commandments of nurturing authentic relationships. And the fourth one is this: don't struggle to give what you don't have. Don't struggle to give what you don't have. Be confident in your gift. Don't struggle to give what you don't have. Be confident in your gift. I extracted this principle from Acts of Apostles chapter 3 and verse 6, the story of Peter and John when they were going to the temple. There was a guy lame in his feet by the gate called Beautiful, and the Bible records that he stretched forth his hand and he asked them for money. And Peter responded, "Silver and gold I do not have, but such as I have I give to you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk." You see, people are always going to ask from you what they think they need from you, because they don't know that what you carry is more important than perhaps what they are asking of you. Okay, so don't be under pressure. It happens to all of us. Okay, don't be under pressure. You cannot give what you don't have, and nobody can give what you carry the way you can give it. So anytime you hold back, anytime you hide from expressing who you really are robbing us of your uniqueness. Okay, so don't be under pressure. Don't struggle to give what you don't have. Be confident in your gift. Okay, be confident in your gift. I've said it to us in several sessions. There's something special about you. Okay, locate it and make the most of it, because your difference is your leverage. The moment people know what is unique to you, what you bring to the table that no other person brings to the table, they will stop demanding of you what they think they need, and they will start demanding of you what you carry. Nobody goes to a stadium and looks for a boutique. Nobody goes to a salon and asks for dinner or lunch, because the salon has, branded the fact, look, this is what we do here. We make hair. If you are hungry, this is not where you come. Okay, you want to buy clothes, you don't go to the stadium. And you want to exercise, you don't go to the cinema. You want to watch a movie. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with the people in your life. The moment you are confident in your gift, listen, there is a need for you. No unnecessary person has been created by God. And people are going to make demands of you of different things until they know what is unique to you. So it's your responsibility, therefore, to let the world know this is who I am, this is what I carry, this is what I bring to the table. And they will not require of you any other thing, because you're unique, you're special, and what you have to contribute is very, very special. All right, thank you very much for being a part of this session. Let me quickly remind us of the principles that I've shared with us. Tonight, we're looking at 8 commandments of nurturing authentic relationships. The first one is balance your giving with receiving. If you don't do that, resentment will set in your relationships, and it's not the best. Number 2, never demand from a relationship what it was not designed to give you. Healthy relationships respect boundaries. And then number 3, don't place your need before your gift. All right? Everybody has a need. I've heard people say things, when maybe it's somebody's birthday, maybe it's their boss, their mentor, they say, what do you give to a man that has everything? Nobody has everything. Okay, that's the mindset of a beggar. All right, a beggar is the only person who wants to receive without giving. Every person of value always thinks exchange. In other words, when somebody, endows you with what they have, there's just that innate desire in you to reciprocate. That's the way God designed us. The moment you become that person who is comfortable with receiving from people and not giving anything in return, something is broken somewhere. Something is wrong. And the final principle I shared with us today, number 4, is don't struggle to give what you don't have. Be confident in your gift. That's where I will stop tonight. Next Wednesday, I'm going to continue with number 5 to number 8. I believe you have picked one thing or the other. If you have a question, for those of us on Instagram Live, please use the question icon on Instagram Live. If you're on MixLR, please use the chat section on MixLR. I'm going to try to see if I can catch up with the folks on Facebook and YouTube. All right, but from these two platforms, if you have a question, please quickly use the question icon to present your question before we round up tonight. Like I said, next Wednesday, I'm going to continue in this line of thought, the 8th commandment. I'm going to share number 5 to number 8. And if you don't mind, you can join me this Sunday at Hill City. I continue the series Authentic Relationships. It's at 9 a.m. West African time. If you are in the city of Lagos, we are at 18/20 Kudirat Abiola Way, Oregun, Ikeja, Lagos. If you're outside Lagos, you can join us live on Facebook, YouTube, and MixLR on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. West African time. All right. So I don't think we have any question. Okay, I think we have one question here. Let me see. Okay. This person wants to know what's the difference between giving and Thanksgiving. I'm trying to make sure I get the question very correctly. For the purpose of this discussion, giving is used in a general sense, okay, to describe our act of, how do I put it, of adding value to other people, solving problems for other people. So it is in that sense that I use the word giving. But in the context that I think you have used it now, I think you are looking at it strictly from the religious standpoint, or maybe of a person who gives to church or gives to God in a church environment. If it is that kind of giving you are talking about, in that sense, I'm just trying to look for proper expressions now. In that sense, let's say giving is financial. Thanksgiving is beyond financial. Thanksgiving can be singing, can be dancing, can be, so Thanksgiving is wider, I think. If anybody has a better way of describing it, please put your response in the comments. I don't have a monopoly of knowledge, okay? But I think, and then I can also say giving also goes beyond just giving in church. When you share with fellow believers, that's giving. When you give to the less privileged, that's giving, okay? I think Thanksgiving strictly is focused on God, okay? Please, if you have anything to add in response to this question, kindly put it in the comments. We have another question. This person says, what would someone do when you keep giving some friends and they want more and more without giving back? Okay, I addressed that before now. It means that that relationship is not balanced. Okay, another person in the comments said, sir, could you expand a little more on balancing giving and receiving? Okay, so that's where a lot of people are. So let's address it. Healthy relationships are symbiotic in nature. Now I'm going to give an example of somebody. Let me give an example. So I have a pastor and mentor, Pastor Victor Adeyemi, is financially more buoyant, is more famous, more popular, is richer than I am, is everything more than I am. Now, so how do I reciprocate in that relationship? You see, let me start first financially. I may not have the kind of money he has, but when I share the little I have, he appreciates it. I remember the first time I was going to, give money to my pastor. I remember vividly, it was 50 naira. I was still a student, okay, so don't laugh at me. Okay, it was 50 naira, and I put it in an envelope, and I went to go and give him. And he prayed. The way he prayed, I was so excited the way he prayed. It's amazing. It's so many years ago. Now, I still don't have his kind of money. But the kind of money I give him now is in multiples of that. The beauty of it is his reaction till today is exactly still the same. So for him, and for most people who are authentic, it's not about the quantity or the amount. It's about the thought. That's the first thing. Number two, like I said, everybody has a need. So when you have somebody in your life who has more than you have, there is a need, especially that is not financial. I'll give you another example. I have some people in my life that I don't have their kind of influence. I don't have their kind of money. But everybody needs encouragement. Everybody needs a honest feedback. especially when they are doing, let me give you a very practical example. You see, a couple of months back, my pastor held a program in the city of Ibadan. I couldn't be there physically, but I joined the program online. And it was a successful event. You see, but people who are in the forefront of an event, they really don't know, okay, what is going on until they hear from somebody else. So after the event, I gave him a call and I told him, wow, that was a powerful event. And I pointed out specifics. This was excellent. That was excellent. This other was excellent. That other one was excellent. Listen, everybody loves compliments. That's the truth. That's something else you can give. Another thing you can give is service. Service. When I started attending my pastor's church, I didn't have money, but I could sing. So I joined the choir and I sang in the choir. I contributed that way. And I became recognized. I became appreciated for that. I remember when I was in my final year, one of the pastors in church, was talking with me and he said, that the church wanted to start campus churches. I said, no problem. I took it upon myself and I started a campus church before I left the university on behalf of the church. I didn't have the kind of money they were spending, but I could give in return. You see, the moment you think, I've got to reciprocate, okay, and you take your time to think about it, there's always something you can do. Like I said before, it is only a beggar that wants to receive without giving. That's the truth. For example, this session, if this session has blessed you, for example, something as simple as sending me a message, telling me specifically how it inspired you, how it blessed you, it goes a long way. I'll give an example. Somebody reached out to me and he said he's a pastor from Liberia and how that our church and our programs online has been a blessing to him. And I was like, wow, the tip I was wondering, is this a scam? What's this person saying? But guess what? He had the opportunity to visit Nigeria and he came to see me in my office. And he sat down and he told me, you're a blessing to me, your teachings, okay, your church, everything. We watch everything you do in your church and we're patterned after you now. We're following your example. He didn't give me any money. See, but that feedback was encouraging for me that, look, this thing we are doing counts. So you can give honest feedback, you can compliment, you can serve, okay, you can use your talents, your gifts. By all means, you can reciprocate. All right, we have a question on MixLR. Let me take this. I think that's where we're going to round up this evening. This person says, sir, please, when talking about transactional, if all you do isn't from a place of transaction and the other person sees it otherwise, how do you make sense of this? There's something I've said that's very important. Anybody that does not share your vision, that does not share your values, okay, does not or should not experience your vulnerability. The challenge, I think, with a lot of us is we are in relationships with people that we shouldn't be in relationships with. And that also answers the question of the person who wanted to know, if you keep doing the giving and your friends want to just keep giving and they don't think of reciprocating, you are in close proximity with the wrong people. There's something I say to people all the time. Until you are willing to go alone, you are not worthy of being followed. If you cannot be by yourself, if you are not willing to play by yourself, you are not going to attract the best of friends. So if you have people in your life who don't share your values, you have to check out of such relationships. They will drain you, okay? Anybody that is not adding to you is subtracting from you. Okay, I'm not saying don't be nice to people. If you can't, please get the teaching I did on Sunday at Hill City. You can go to hillcityng.org/store and look for that message, Authentic Relationships Part 1 and 2. I covered all of this in the teaching I did on Sunday. You can't just do life with anybody. There was something I learned not long ago. And for those of us who are people of faith, you would understand this. I was meditating one day and then the Holy Spirit said to me, he said, treat every relationship like you treat your marriage. It changed me. He said, treat every relationship like you treat your marriage. Please get what I'm saying. There is no relationship that is at the level of my marriage. But what the Holy Spirit was saying to me is, the attitude you have towards your marriage is the attitude you should have towards other relationships. And then it dawned on me, I didn't just marry anybody. I took my time to check out this person. She was not the first person I met. She was not the first person I had feelings for. I chose her, okay? She just didn't happen to me. That's number one. Number two, I'm intentional in the way I relate with her. There is a way I talk to her. There is a way I treat her. There is no human alive that can say, I know something about you more than your wife, or I am closer to you than your wife. I'm particular in the way I treat her. I'm particular in the way I respond to her. When she offends me, I still control myself in responding to the offense because she's not just anybody. And then she treats me very special. Nobody believes in me like she does. Nobody treats me special like she does. So I began to look at other relationships and I became intentional. Anybody that does not share my value should not come into close proximity with me. They are not bad people. They are not just fit. They were very good people I did not marry because they were not compatible with me. It's the same thing. Two cannot work together if they don't have agreement. A lot of times, many of us are trying to be in a relationship with people that we are not compatible with. And that's the problem. Okay? That's the problem. So you need to choose your friends wisely. You need to be careful of the people you allow into your space. And some of these things will stop happening. All right? I hope I've been able to do justice to our questions this evening. Okay. This person says your YouTube link doesn't seem to be working. I've tried severally without succeeding. Please do something. I will check it again. All right. If you check the one in my bio, it should be working, but I'll check it again just in case. Please, you can send me a DM and I would send you that link so that you can access, all right, all my materials on YouTube. And if it's the Hill City NG YouTube page you want to get to, just search for Hill City NG on YouTube and you will get it. If you search for Shegun Oke on YouTube, you would also get my personal channel. Of course, this broadcast is no longer available on Instagram after now, but you can catch it even with all the big ideas and the slides either on Facebook at Hill City NG or Shegun Oke on YouTube. All right. Thank you very much. Let's draw the curtains here tonight. I look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday. And for those who have presented questions, who have participated in the conversation tonight, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and God bless you. Bye-bye.